is up, Yankee fans? My name is Ryan Garcia, and this is Fireside Yankees, and today we're going to talk about 4 alternative options for the Yankees on the trade market if they were to strike out in free agency and not land one of Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. Now, it's safe to say that this scenario is pretty much a nightmare. It's a situation where the Yankees have to scramble, and they're going to have to get creative. Cody Bellinger is a better player than anyone else really on the trade market, and Kyle Tucker, by being better than Cody Bellinger, is also essentially better than anybody on the trade market. Unlike with free agency, the trade market is not guaranteed to go your way, whereas in free agency, those players have to sign contracts in trades. These teams don't have to move players, even if they're rentals. So that is a disclaimer with all of this. These are just ideas. These are just 4 ideas. They're nothing more than that. These are not speculative rumors linking the Yankees to these players. It's, again, just an idea. So if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. We're trying to reach 30,000 subscribers tonight. We do live streams multiple times a week. We record every single day. We've got at least one video for you guys, again, every single day. And without further ado, let's just jump straight into today's video. And let's start with Brendan Donovan, who is a unique option in left field because the Yankees have been linked to him consistently. There's not really a position that he plays primarily that the Yankees would be able to throw him at. He is a second baseman / third baseman primarily, but the Yankees have both positions filled, and I know it's easy to say, well, the Yankees could just put Jazz Chisholm, or trade Jazz Chisholm, or put him in the outfield, or trade Ryan McMahon, but I don't see either trade going down, personally. I could be wrong. We're going to talk about Brendan Donovan as a left field option, though, because he does have over 1,400 innings of experience in the corner outfield. He's played both left field and right field. He's got +2 defensive runs saved and -5 fielding run value out there, but offensively, this is a guy who's a clear and obvious fit for this roster. Brendan Donovan, the hitter, Brendan Donovan, the offensive player, is an awesome fit for the Yankees because he's a high on base, high average guy who does have more power potential than people give him credit for. He hit 287 this year with a 353 on base, a 422 slugging percentage. He had an 8.8% barrel percentage, which was actually a little bit better than Cody Bellinger's. He had a higher average exit velocity at 89.7 miles per hour. He does hit the ball on the ground a good chunk more than Bellinger, but he has really good plate discipline metrics. He makes a ton of contact in zone. He's inside the top 10 in swinging strike rate among big leaguers since 2025. If you want to look at big leaguers this past season who had at least 500 plate appearances, Brendan Donovan, again, ranks just near the top of the league in terms of that swinging strike rate. The ability to make contact is truly, truly elite. Yeah, Brendan Donovan, number 10 in swinging strike rate this year at 5.3%. He is, again, just a really excellent fit for the Yankees. He would have hit an additional 4 home runs if he played all of his home games at Yankee Stadium. 2 of them were doubles. 2 were outs, so you would add an additional 12 total bases there. I did the calculations on how that would affect his on-base percentage and his slugging percentage. Brendan Donovan would have had an OPS over 800. It would have been 805 because the slugging percentage would have boosted from 422 to 448, OBP from 353 to 357. That is a really elite slash line. If you have an average over 290, and his average would improve by having 2 more non-hits turn into hits, an OBP over 350 and a slugging percentage nearing 450, then you've got a really, really, really strong offensive profile. You're the kind of player who is well-rounded and can hit at the top of a lineup. Now, I do want to talk about some of the concerns with Brendan Donovan. Obviously, the defense, not sure he can really handle left field at Yankee Stadium, not because he can't play the outfield. St. Louis does have a really big outfield, but because I don't know if you really want to play him out there. Trent Grisham's playing center. You'd have Judge playing right. You have a really slow outfield. Not sure that's what the Yankees want. And injuries. He has played no more than 150 games more than once. I mean, he's done it in 2024, but after that, 118 this past year, 95 the year prior, 126 the year prior. He's had multiple surgeries, one in his elbow this past season on a sports hernia. That is definitely concerning. He's 28. He's getting slower. Got to wonder if those injuries are taking a toll on him. But as a hitter, as an offensive player, as a guy who's versatile, as a guy whose swing would get better at Yankee Stadium, as a guy who makes as much contact as Brendan Donovan does, he is a very natural replacement for Cody Bellinger, and I think he's someone who would make this offense a heck of a lot better. He's projected to be a better hitter than Cody Bellinger is this year, and that's without the park factor. That would change with Yankee Stadium, probably boost it to like a 120, 121 WRC plus projection, maybe 1 2022. Donovan, really good fit for the Yankees offensively. Not so sure about defensively. Up next, we've got Lars Nootbaar of the St. Louis Cardinals, who is on the same team as Brendan Donovan and is an interesting player for a variety of reasons. You could argue that Brendan Donovan is the better hitter, but that Lars Nootbaar is the better fit as a natural left fielder. This past year was a down year for Nootbaar. He hit 234 with a 325 on base, a 361 slug. Only hit 13 home runs in 135 games. It was 135 games. The most games he ever played in his career in a season. Did not have anything really going for him in the power department. Although the barrel percentage, 10.2%, was definitely there. Lots of contact in zone as well. He's a really high contact guy. Good hard hit data, good batted ball data, good ability to crush a baseball in contact. Hits too many ground balls, but this past year hit more fly balls. Walks a lot, never really strikes out a lot, never ran a strikeout rate above 22.6% in the season, and that was in 58 games in 2021. This past year, 20.4%. So this is a guy who's going to walk a good bit, strike out not a lot, and could add some power and on base to your lineup. And the thing I like about Lars Nootbaar the most is what he could be with the Yankees. In his career, he's a 242, 341, 406 slash line guy. That is a 110 WRC plus. His expected numbers have traditionally been better than his results. Part of that is the ballpark he plays in. St. Louis is a very poor ballpark fit for Lars Nootbaar. He is also getting off-season surgery. These are going to be on both of his heels. His defense regressed pretty sharply this year, so I guess the hope here is that the heel surgeries improve his defensive abilities and that he returns to being the corner outfield defender he was before. I should note that in left field, 0 defensive runs saved, -3 fielding run value. Right field, 17 defensive runs saved, 5 outs above average, 9 fielding run value. I do think he could be a very good defensive corner outfielder. I think the left field data is not indicative of a poor glove. I think that right field in St. Louis is actually harder. That could just be some fluctuation in the defensive data. Definitely possible that he's just more comfortable in right field. That could make him a poor fit defensively, but I trust the defensive abilities. I trust the glove. I trust that he can be someone the Yankees take and make him a lot better. He's also 28 years old. I just love the profile. You're taking a guy who's a talented hitter, a good athlete, hits the ball pretty hard, makes a lot of contact, works walks. This is someone who could produce a 340, 350 on base for you next year. He's projected to put up a 345 on base. I think that's really enticing. He hits lefties just a little bit better than Brendan Donovan does. So while both struggle in those scenarios, Nootbaar might be less needy of a platoon player than someone like Donovan would be. The other thing I really like about Lars Nootbaar is he doesn't pull the ball in the air, but he would have more home runs if he played at Yankee Stadium. That is an indication that if the Yankees can get him to pull more fly balls, this guy could be a monster. He could be a 20, 25 home run hitter at Yankee Stadium with that short right field porch if he plays a full year. But that's the big if he plays a full year. Never played more than 135 games. That is a massive red flag. Undergoing heel surgery, again, another red flag, and then you add on the fact that it's both heels, not just one. That's a triple red flag. There are some crimson red flags here. He would be off some people's boards entirely, and that's completely fair, but we're playing the alternative game. We're not playing the game of safe, reliable, excellent offensive options. If that was the case, then we'd be talking about Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker. We're talking about plan C's, plan D's, plan E's, the bargain bin, the back of the market kind of guys. And at the end of the day, if you're shopping at the back end of your market, you're going to take some flyers. Nootbaar, more of a flyer than the other guys in this list, but you could argue has some of the most upside on this list as well. Most power potential, definitely, in my opinion, in terms of just the raw exit velocity data. But let's move on to our third player here, and that is Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs. And now, the Cubs are in contention, so it's a little bit weird to mention Happ here, but and he does have a no trade clause, and he seems to really want to be a Cub, so this could very much just not be true, and that the Cubs could have no interest in trading him, and even if the Cubs did have interest in trading him, Ian Happ would have to waive his no trade clause. Totally possible he says, no, I want to be a Cub forever. He's a rental, so he'd be a free agent at the end of the year, making $20.3 million a year, 116 WRC plus, 243 average, 23 home runs, 342 on base, 420 slug. Why is a team that was one game away from going to the NLCS ever going to consider trading good major league talent? Well, it's because they have just an absolute slew of free agents coming up after the 2026 season. You've got Ian Happ, you've got Seiya Suzuki, you've got Nico Horner, you've got Matthew Boyd, Jody Imanaga, Jameson Taillon. Those three starters I just mentioned contributed about half of their pitching war, in terms of their rotation production. And offensively, those three guys I just mentioned contributed about 33% of the roster's wins above replacement and about 50% of the roster's offensive value. So we're talking about some of the most important players on this team it's completely possible that these guys just all leave. It's possible that the Cubs are not able to retain anybody, and that they find themselves very quickly in a rebuild. So maybe they can try and mitigate that by soft selling a little bit, maybe trading one of their rental players like an Ian Happ, getting some value back, and then trying to go back into the market and with those $20 million, go out and try to add a player, add a starter, add a reliever, add another bat, whatever it may be. They have an outfield prospect in Owen Cassie who can take over in the outfield if needed. Seiya Suzuki can remain the DH or play some outfield also if needed. Happ is a pretty strong defensive left fielder. Outs above average don't really like him. They see him as more of an average defensive left fielder, but defensive runs saved. Absolutely loves him in left field. Career 37 defensive runs saved. Career negative fielding 5 run value. The Yankees really value the defensive run saved metric, so I do think he's a pretty good glove out there. He also plays a really tough outfield because Chicago's got pretty deep outfield in some areas, and obviously the ivy's weird, the wall's weird, the wind is really terrible, so he plays a very tough left field, and he's become very comfortable playing a tough left field. He's a switch hitter, could lead him off, could hit him third. There's a lot of versatility with the bat here. I don't think he's too dissimilar in terms of true talent outcomes to someone like Cody Bellinger. Happ is someone who hits the ball hard. He makes a good amount of contact. He gets on base a good bit. I like just how well-rounded he is. He'd be a one-year player. You'd be freeing up salary for the Cubs. Maybe would lower the prospect hit you'd have to kind of open yourself up to here. Yankees have a good amount of pitching prospects, too. That could definitely entice a team such as the Cubs. 91st percentile chase rate, 93rd percentile walk rate. Expected weighted on base average, 83rd percentile. Maybe someone who could just get to Yankee Stadium and kind of do well there. I know that expected home runs don't really love his swing at Yankee Stadium, but I do believe there's a lot to like here. I think the wind kind of blows down some of these fly balls. I think that we could see Ian Happ have a really big year with the Yankees, especially in a walk year. Only 31 years old, not like you expect him to fall off a cliff this upcoming season. In terms of bat speed, small drop off from 24 to 25, but from 23 to 24 increased, and so you can kind of assume that that's just some variance up and down that can happen with your bat speed. Again, really like the player, really think the player is a productive player, above average barrel rate, above average chase rate or elite chase rate. I like Ian Happ a lot, and I know the Yankees tried to trade for him, I think at the 2022 trade deadline. They felt confident that deal was going to get done, and then it didn't. Life happens. Sugar, honey, iced tea. It happens. Try not to get demonetized on this one. Good contact rates, good power. Like it's hard to not like Ian Happ for the Yankees. It's hard to not like him as a player, as a profile. 32 doubles, 23 home runs. Like the counting stats are good. Every single year he's going to hit you 20-plus home runs, 30-plus doubles, and have an on-base percentage over 340. So this is the kind of player you want if you're a Yankee. You want this guy in the Yankees. You want this guy if you're any team that needs an outfielder. If you look at from 2019 to 2025, again, it's just so consistently good offensively. I love Ian Happ, and I'm not afraid to say that I think he'd be a really good fit for the Yankees. So we'll see. I don't know if the Cubs actually decide to move him or not. I know John Heyman kind of floated they can move some of their rental players. I mentioned Nico Hoerner as like a player that could be a really good fit, but Nico Hoerner's probably their best player right now on the roster outside of maybe Pete Crow-Armstrong. So kind of hard to see them going through with that. Ian Happ, a little more of a player that you can replace. He's about a 3-win player. Not that those grow on trees, but the Cubs could probably say, hey, for $20 million, we might be able to do a little bit more with this. And definitely wouldn't be crazy to see the Cubs could use that $20 million. They're a very cheap organization. Could definitely use it. Now let's talk about our final player. And it's funny, I'm going to use probably the player that this fan base would want the most as the final player. And that's Steven Kwan, who actually had the second worst OPS plus among the guys I mentioned in this video. But what keeps him as this just super enticing outcome. And I saved the best for last. I saved the two best, I think, for last. Steven Kwan is an elite defensive left fielder, probably the best defensive corner outfielder in the game at the moment. This guy is a freak of nature. No one does it like him in left field. This guy's disgusting out there. Incredible elite fielder, great range, really good instincts out there. The arm is surprisingly good for someone who's as small as him. Not that he can just hose guys out, but he's got an arm that people have to respect. I know that left field in Cleveland is kind of it's not exactly like Fenway, but it's a short left field. It's not a super long left field, but it's got those high walls. It's difficult. It's unique. It's weird. Among players since 2023, Steven Kwan, third in defensive runs saved. In terms of fielding run value, he's got 24 of that. He's top 20. He ranks among guys like Lindor, Michael Harris II, Mason Wynn, Ryan McMahon, Luis Robert Jr., Matt Chapman. These are some of the best defensive players in the game. Granted, corner outfield spot not as valuable as a corner infield spot like third base or up the middle like shortstop, but still very impressive. You would expect the power to get better at Yankee Stadium. I know that he'd lose maybe some batting average at Yankee Stadium, but not really too concerned about that. If I'm the Yankees, he might lose a couple of ticks on the batting average. It's not like Cleveland's a singles paradise for Cleveland. If he hit 272 this year and he's projected to hit about 280, maybe you just say he's going to hit 275 with the Yankees, but you can add on a couple home runs there. You can add on about 2 more home runs a year. Just based on that short right field porch. Kwan does pull the ball in the air a decent bit, and he hits the ball in the air a lot. He doesn't actually have a high ground ball rate anymore. It's 37.9%. Last year, 36.3%. Really good contact rates. That's his calling card, that being Steven Kwan. Don't love that he walked less this year. Always known for good walk rates. This year, average to below average in that category. Wonder if that's just him being a high out-of-zone contact rate guy, and just some of those swings have turned into contact too often. I think the Yankees can kind of get him into a better place with the swing decisions. It's not a bad swing decision profile, but try and figure out why the walks went down. If he can get the power back, he hit 14 home runs in the previous year in 122 games, only hit 11 in 156 this year. If you can get back to that pace of, hey, we're hitting about 15 home runs a year, this is a really good player. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Kwan's a career 281, 351, 390 slash line guy. He's a guy who struggled to hit in Cleveland because Cleveland, way worse for lefties than people think. Yankee Stadium is not a good ballpark for hitting singles, but it is a good ballpark for hitting home runs and hitting for power for left-handed hitters. And Cleveland is bad for singles and not as good for hitting for power. Kwan, OPS of 753 away from Cleveland. Home OPS of 728 this past year. Home OPS of 676 away, 731. So he's a guy who I think could get better away from Cleveland. And again, if we talk about the biggest name, the guy who I think would have the most buzz value, I do believe that Steven Kwan is that guy. And the final thing I'd like to note when it comes to the left field position here, he's going to cost the most. He's going to cost the most. There's no other way to put it with the with the Yankees. Steven Kwan, the Guardians are going to ask the world from him. So I actually would view Steven Kwan as the least likely guy here, just because if the Yankees are not going to overpay for Cody Bellinger on the market, why would they overpay in a trade for Steven Kwan on the market if asset management is that important to them? Would be really weird for them to break that rule for prospects when they might have more money than prospects. Just really, really weird. Not 100% sure that we see the Yankees that into the Steven Kwan market, but if you ask me my favorite pick of the group, I'd say it's Ian Happ. He's just so consistent. The upside isn't as great as maybe like you can unlock Lars Nootbaar, maybe get him to be like a 125, 130 OPS plus guy at a younger age. That's definitely possible, but I'd rather just roll with Ian Happ. Ian Happ is a model of consistency. You look at the OPS plus numbers, it's exactly kind of what I would be looking for from the Yankees, and it's guaranteeing I'm going to get good production out of left field. You could argue has a higher floor than Bellinger. I mean, you read the OPS plus numbers year in, year out. Let's start with from 2019. 128, 131, 103, 117, 118, 120, 120. Wins above replacement. We're going to read from most recent year back. 4 wins this past year, 3.9, 3.5, 4.3, 1.6, 1.3 in the abbreviated year. So, worst year was a year where he had a 103 OPS plus and a 1.6 WAR in 148 games. That is pretty freaking good. That's pretty freaking reliable. Gold Glove winner each of the last 4 years. He's got 4 straight Gold Gloves. That's pretty impressive in the corner outfield. He's been a Gold Glove monster. This guy, I think, again, the Yankees have had interest in him before. I think he'd be an awesome fit here. And me personally, I think that there's more. I think there's more. If the Cubs are going to trade a rental, I think Ian Happ is easily the one who makes the most sense. Seiya Suzuki's probably the best hitter. Nico Horner's might be the best position player. Kind of hard to sell to your fan base trading one of those two guys. Ian Happ, he's a guy who's been there a while. Kind of easy to sell to your fan base. Hey, we're shaking things up. We're freeing up $20 million. I know Seiya Suzuki's making a decent chunk of change right now. It's not like he's completely cheap, but in terms of cost, I mean, Seiya Suzuki, I think he makes a little bit less than Ian Happ. Ian Happ, again, $20.3 million. Nico Horner around $11.7 million. I don't think it's the same. It's not the same salary impact. You'd be, and $12 million, like, not to be rude about, like, you know, $12 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But in the baseball world, it's not really getting you anybody. And that's kind of the big key here. $20 million is. Seiya's making $17 million a year, so Happ is the most expensive of that group. Could get 2 players at $20 million, maybe 2 relievers. Could get an outfielder and a reliever. Could do a lot of things there. I think there's just way more upside for the Cubs. If they just keep these guys and extend them, sure, but if you're going to move somebody, right, Ian Happ kind of makes the most sense. He's the guy who I would look at if I was the Cubs front office and I got a mandate from ownership. Hey, move one of these guys. We can't sign them all. But that's neither here nor there. Just speculation. Don't know if Happ actually gets traded. Probably the lowest percentage trade guy on this list just based on public trade rumors. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Perfect.